Hey everybody, and welcome to the Better You podcast. I'm of course Ian Bickle. I am your host, and remember, this podcast is all about creating a better you. And the best podcasts, my favorite podcasts, are the ones where I deal with real people, normal people. And the beauty of my job is that I get to work with these people and show them that they are capable and they are so much more than they think they are. So working with this lady has been absolutely phenomenal. Listen to her story, listen to her growth and the change that we've created throughout the process of working together. There will be stuff in the show notes. We'll talk about that at the end. So let's get straight into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another podcast. These are my favorite podcasts. I love these podcasts because we are with a client. We are celebrating the hell out of what they have achieved. It's an opportunity for us to reflect, and it's also a great opportunity for people out there who are maybe struggling to kind of see that they don't have to struggle. And today we're going to share Jane's story. Now, Jane came to me several months ago, and I want to read the message Jane sent me word for word. Forgive my reading, but I'm going to read it. So, I've been pointed to your direction by someone, Chris, as I am looking for some help, support, guidance around some long-term binge and emotional eating issues, and also generally just feel stuck. Sorry, I can't think of a better way to describe it in all areas, personally, professionally, and health-wise. I've seen that you offer a free 30-minute intro call. Would it be possible to organise that? Kind regards, Jane. First and foremost, yes, that's right. I do offer a free 30-minute call. In reflection, Jane, first and foremost, welcome, Jane. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. In reflection, reading that message back, how do you feel?
Feels like a lifetime ago already, and it was probably only 3 months or something.
I can tell you the date actually, the 7th of February.
Okay, so yeah, 3 months ago. Yeah, I can remember what it was like feeling like that and being that person, but like I genuinely in 3 months feel a totally different person.
Yeah, so what was the headspace when you kind of sent those messages out?
I'd sort of hit rock bottom really. I'd been, thinking about it. I'd probably been. I'll say this, though I don't like to brag. Say it. I'm 42, and thinking about it, I've probably been on some form of diet or, body conscious for about 30 years, which is terrifying to think of. And I've tried everything. Tried to make a list, and I probably can't even remember them all, but I reckon I've been on about 12 to 15 different attempts at dieting of one thing or another, multiple times probably. Um, Done everything, swimming clubs, even got to the point of I had a consultation once for like bariatric surgery because I couldn't see any other way out. Didn't obviously go through with it. And I was just in this constant cycle of trying to fit myself into into a, wanting to have a smaller body, wanting to, be different, feeling like I never quite fit in, didn't fit the social stereotype of what I should look like, and all of that type of thing. And this just kind of perpetuated for years and years and years. And I was constantly on the wagon, off the wagon, which I think a lot of people are. And every single attempt knocked my confidence that little bit more. Every time, I was very much feeling like a failure. What's the point? And I'd literally, when I contacted you, got to the point of feeling like I don't know. I need to do something. I'd got to the point where my health was being affected by it. It wasn't just like how I looked anymore. It was genuinely starting to affect my health. And I was like, I have to do something here or I might die. It was that dramatic. But I didn't know what to do anymore. Nothing I was doing myself was working anymore.
How did doing all of those diets over the course of 30 years from the age of essentially 12, which is maybe something we can talk about in a second, because it's quite common that children, as young as, before the age of like 10, like before they even reach double figures, are already kind of body conscious and things like that. But how did, you said you were just totally lost. Was that kind of how dieting and diets left you, because you'd tried everything and obviously nothing had been successful?
I'd had like things of where, I'd had varying degrees of success like throughout those 30 years. Obviously, I'd had periods where I'd like lost quite a lot of weight, but then always regained it back. And every single time, the feeling of, I remember the last time when I lost a significant amount of weight, I had people like saying to me, oh, you're an inspiration and what's your secret and all that. And that was really so lovely to hear. And it was a real like ego boost at the time. But then when that all slowly started to come back on, there was like also like an embarrassment, like all those people who thought I was like amazing because I'd shrunk my body. Now we're probably thinking, oh God, she's just gone back again. So it just kind of left me so disheartened, so not knowing, where to turn, and really sort of quite stressed out, quite sad. And I had this thing of like, I'll be happy when I look a certain way or when I weigh a certain weight or when I can achieve this certain thing. And therefore it left me feeling like I couldn't be happy in the here and now, which was really sad. But yeah, that's the sort of cycle I'd get into, and I really felt like I wasn't living my life because I wasn't a certain way.
How much was this like consuming your thoughts and your life?
It was everything. It was like at the time I contacted you, it had kind of got to the point where I'd started to cancel going things with friends. Probably when my friends and family watch this back, they're gonna get like a bit of a shock that sort of things when I didn't come or I cancelled last minute or I said I was ill or I said I was something. It was really because I was like I didn't want to go. I just didn't. I got to the point where I didn't want to be social because I was, what will I wear? What will, I'll be so self-conscious about how I looked. Everyone else looks better than me. People will be judging me. And it was just really eating away from this point of view. And then because my confidence was so low, I was getting really stressed. I was getting to the point where I was getting stressed in like all elements of my life, in my work, and just everything had really snowballed, and it got to sort of feeling like I just had this massive weight on my shoulders all the time. And it was like every day I was waking up and it was like, it wasn't like living, it was surviving another day, getting through another day, trudging through treacle. And then at the end of the day, collapsing in the chair and being like, oh, I've done it, I can go to bed soon, essentially, I can sleep it off. And then waking up the next morning, just not refreshed, not anything, just waking up and feeling like, oh, it's another day. And that was how I was feeling about my life. And I had no reason to feel like that. I've got a nice life, I've got a lovely family, I've got a good job, I've got a lovely daughter and stepson, nothing. I've only been, I've got a great partner, I've only been married sort of less than 2 years. I had everything on the people from the outside looking in. People would probably think I've got a really nice life. And I was keep thinking, why do I feel like this? Why don't I feel like I can be happy?
Why do you think that was?
Because I'd set myself this thing in my mind that despite all, like, looking how I looked, how I felt, how I was the pinnacle. Like I didn't deserve to be happy because I didn't look a certain way. I didn't fit into a certain clothes size, or I didn't maintain, the weight on the weight on the scales would be everything. I'd go through periods of weighing daily, obsessively, and then periods of like not even wanting to know, not looking at the scales when I'd start having going through these periods of being off the wagon and binging and all that type of thing. That would then I'd like bury my head in the sand, and then I'd put everything I'd done back on, and then be in this desperate state, and it was just this vicious circle.
And this is the thing, like there's so many people out there, you know, because I've worked with them, and there's so many people out there that they think this is, well, that's it, really. You're just condemned to yo-yo dieting, you know. And there was a lot of, you mentioned prior to us starting recording, a lot of like binge and emotional eating over that 30-year span. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can remember it like way back. Like I can remember things like always associating food with events, for example. So I can remember being little and only being 5, and my granddad dying, and then being about 11 or 12, and my auntie dying. I can tell you what I ate on those occasions, like what I was given by an adult to make me feel better. And so began this thing of like associating like food with comfort. And it kind of over the years became a thing, but I was like so ashamed of it because I would feel like people would be judging me because I wasn't skinny. Oh, she shouldn't be eating that. So it began that I would like do it in secret. And like I would have drawers, and my door thing in my car would be full of chocolate wrappers. Like I couldn't go for petrol and go in the garage without buying a few bars of chocolate, but then having to eat them before I got home. Things like that. And so it became like in any time of stress or anything like that, I would have these binges. But then it became, as I got older and as everything was snowballing, like I was stressed all the time. So the binges like became kind of constant. Like I could be working but it was almost like sometimes like I didn't even know I was doing it. It was like I was in some kind of fog, and then I'd come to and realize I'd like done in a whole packet of custard creams or something, and just think, where the hell did they go? And things like that. So yeah, this over the years, and at times I could control it, and think I was, it's all right, or it's gone away. But then it would always come back.
Was it always kind of, when you'd thought it went away, the deep down you kind of knew it was still there? It was almost just like you were suppressing it in some sort of way, like, the keeping the bottle on the lid, if you'd like, and then inevitably what happened.
I used to call it my food monster, and it would come and get me, and it would be like it would hibernate for a while, and then it would come and get me again. And there was I felt like I had no control over it, and it just got to this point where it's like, well, it's how I am, and I'll never be any different because I've tried everything and nothing's working, and I just keep doing this. So this is it. This is my life now. If I manage somehow to live another 40 years, then I've just got, this is it. I'm never going to be any different, and give up really. But I hadn't. There's a little bit in me, which is why I reached out to you, I guess.
And I guess this conditioning, especially like repetitive dieting over a 30-year period, left you in a place of like kind of, well, what's the point? And I guess maybe people are curious to, well, what makes this time different?
We've laughed about this lots of times, Ian. I honestly, I don't know what you've done. If I could bottle it, we could market it and sell it, make a fortune. We could have that private plane. But I don't know. And I've joked and I said, oh, I think you've hypnotized me, or I think it's magic, or whatever it might be. But evidently it's none of those things. It is a process, but it's a very I was terrified to start it. I thought, "Oh, what if I've, spent this money and put myself out there and do this thing, and it's another failure because I'm the failure. So why should this be any different? I'll just not make it work." But literally within a couple of weeks, I think a couple of weeks in, I had a weekend away to my friend's house, and I was thinking, oh my God, like, am I going to cope? Is it going to fall over? But I remember you saying very early on, you can no longer be on the wagon or off the wagon because the wagon's gone. The wagon doesn't exist. It's like we've burned that wagon. It's gone. So there is no wagon to be on or off. That doesn't exist anymore. And I think that was like really powerful for me, because I thought, right, this is it. And the difference for me is I just am. If that makes sense. That probably won't make a lot of sense to anyone who's not been through this, but there is no good or bad. No, life happens, and I appreciate that now, because previously I would have been kind of on some kind of strict diet, and then an event comes up and it's, oh, how do I cope with this? Oh, I can't cope with this, so I'll just press that self-destruct button and go mad, and then I'll be off it, and it's like, oh, I've messed it up now. I might as well finish off the week and start again on Monday and have that whole mentality. And now I'm just a little bit like that. That's madness. Like if you had a set of plates and you had 12 plates and you smashed one plate, you wouldn't go, oh, I've smashed one, I might as well smash the other 11 and just like finish it off. You just go, oh, well, that's the sad. I've only got 11 plates now, and get on with it using your plates. It's that kind of thing. It's like, why, if life happens one day, one meal, one thing. And I think if you think about your day, your week, your month, in terms of that, one meal, one day, even 1 week, if you're on holiday or whatever, is not going to make this huge difference. If you look at it over the bigger picture, and I think that's what it's about for me, and it's all the other benefits that have come with it, not just the fact that I feel like I've lost some weight without trying, which is mind blowing for me, but the energy I've gotten, the confidence, everything's better. Everything looks brighter. I'm excited for every day. And I feel like I can achieve anything.
If we could somehow get a DeLorean for Back to the Future's references right there,
I'm not old, I get it.
if you could go back in time and have a word with your 12-year-old self, or at certain kind of time frames, school or university or college or whatever, like what would you tell your previous self?
I'd tell my previous. It's interesting because I've got a daughter of around that age, and I have a kind of very, very careful of the messages that she gets about body image and stuff. So it's all about for me, not having to fit into a stereotype, a societal image of what it should be, but also it's about, there's no such thing as a bad food. There's no such thing as a naughty food. There's no, you can have anything you want. It's about balance. It's about health. It's about generally having a healthy time and a healthy diet, and actually never go on a diet. Have a diet. Have your diet that fits you, and you eat how you like, and ignore everything that magazines and these days TikTok and all the rest of it tells you should be doing. You do you, I think is, and I think that's the biggest thing I've gotten out of it.
I think people listening, they may understand that from a logical reason, because it makes absolute sense. But I think always for me, the biggest shift is, I call it the power of yes. And I talk to clients about this. And the shift that you made was when you went you kind of went all in. You were like, right, let's do this, and I think walking the walk is so much more crucial because words like health, and especially the word balance, especially the word moderation, has lost all kind of meaning. But I think you now understand that, but you understand that within the context of yourself. Would that be a right description?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we look at things, and I don't want to sort of, take give away all the secrets of your program, but basically, we talk very early on about your hunger, and I think I said to you, I can't remember the last time I was hungry because it was just constant snacking, constant all the rest of it, and this thing of, and it's like I didn't have my internal gauge of hunger had been switched off. I spent my entire time either having food excessively or not having it and coveting that food, trying to resist it, trying to be depriving myself rather than having a normal amount. And so to now be able to think and judge that hunger and go, yes, I am. If I'm really hungry because I've done, a lot, or it's a particular, time of the month or something like that, I can 100% go, yeah, I'm going to have a little bit more because I know why that is. And that doesn't make me bad or naughty or a failure or anything like that. It's just is. I need that. Similarly, I can go and have a meal now and leave some. That's fine. And I can go and eat a dessert and go, do you know what? This is not that great. I'm not going to finish it because it's really not hitting the spot. But actually, if then I have something that really is great, I will absolutely allow myself it. And it's just such a change of mindset. It's just mind blowing. And we've had quite a lot of talks about cake over the weeks. I don't think a week's gone by we haven't talked about some form of cheesecake or another.
Yeah, sticky toffee pudding.
Or banoffee pie. But yeah, but the fact is, throughout this and that one thing I've not done, well, I've done it once throughout the entire time, is weigh myself, and that was purely out of some kind of curiosity that I got out of like, I can feel this is working in my clothes and just how I generally look. Let's see what that number is. And it's like, it's a nice surprise considering I don't feel like I've actually done anything to try that, achieving that. But it was no sort of indicator of success. It just was a number. And that was a big step for me.
And that's huge. You'd said about the wagon and being on something. And to me, if you're on something, that means then you have the capacity to be off something. Whereas when you'd said, I just am, that perfectly encapsulates what this is about. It isn't necessarily about food at all. Food is very much a symptom of maybe the issue. But of course, we have to look at food and we have to be considerate of food because, and the word health, again, there's so much nuance to that. So when I'm working with a person on a one-to-one basis, it's speaking their words and their language and, helping them articulate the landscape of their health life, if you'd like. When was the last time you binged?
About the 6th of February.
Did you think that, because I remember getting a message off you from like even the day after you was like, right, yeah, I'm in. It was like instantaneous.
It really was. And I kept thinking, for the first few weeks, it's a bit like, okay, like,
Because I think
should,
everyone who's done a diet's
yeah,
experienced
yeah,
the early diet euphoria because it's shiny, it's novel, it's new, and
yeah,
ultimately people who are frequently weighing themselves are getting some form of positive reinforcement through weight loss, which, as we well know, over 30 years and people who have done that numerous times, like, is this just another
yeah.
thing?
So I was waiting for it to, the monster to wake up and bite me. But I can only conclude that we've put him down. We've put him
Dead.
to sleep. He's gone.
R.I.P. Does the monster have a name, or is it just the
No,
monster?
no,
No.
he's just. Um, yeah, was the monster.
Another 30 years, you might have named him.
Yeah.
It's a pet.
Oh yeah. I had plenty of bad names for him, but we won't. It's PG. We won't. Won't
And
repeat
we
them.
said at the beginning there, in the message that you just felt kind of down. And also you'd said, like, family members or friends, colleagues might be surprised hearing this. And sometimes people ask me, like, well, Ian, how do I refer people to you? And there's such a great deal of sense of, I don't know, how did you feel in the depths of your despair? Like, I've heard words like loneliness, embarrassment, shame, guilt. What was that to you?
I guess all of that. There was definitely, definitely some loneliness in there. It's like, why do I feel like this? Kind of, yeah, shame that sort of you think no one else is doing this, but then actually when you find something like this, and you sent me some podcasts and stuff early on. I listened to some of the podcasts you've done with other clients, and it's like, oh, hold on. There are other people doing this. It's not just me. It is wider spread than you think. So yeah, all of those things. It felt very. I felt quite isolated, quite like, yeah, like a failure. But on the surface, like I said, people wouldn't have known because very calm. The amount of people who've like said to me over the years, "Oh, you're very calm. You're very," and I was I was the epitome of that swan, of that duck sitting looking all serene on the surface, but my legs going a million mile an hour underneath. But actually, my legs getting really tired and feeling like actually I might drown soon. And it was getting harder and harder and harder to keep up that. And now the people, I mean, I've had very few people know that I've been kind of doing this program, only my very, very close family. But the change they've seen in me over these last few weeks, as well as the change I recognise in myself, has just been huge.
And the scary thing is, like, nobody knew that about you. So, like, first and foremost, like, I'll tell you how proud and grateful I am of you being here right now and sharing your story. And this isn't like a before and after picture of,
No, I'm only halfway there.
this is the before and afters that I want. Uh, speaking to the person and looking into the eyes and watching them, how they hold themselves and how they are in social situations and how they carry themselves. Maybe potentially someone is very close to is carrying the same burden. What would your message be to anybody who is in that situation, who was where you were?
I think it would be to take that leap and be brave and do it. And yes, on the face of it, it's a significant investment. It's scary as well to take that leap of faith. That sort of trust fall really that we talked about before. To to do it, because you do have to be willing to be vulnerable a little bit, to open up, to consider the things that you've causing this, and to open up and talk about them. But like the reward is like the payoff is like so worth it, and it's such an investment in yourself. Like when we talked about, like, you know, the investment in doing this program, you know, my sensible part of my brain went, oh, you could buy all the, you know, you could get new windows, or you could, you know, or think what you could do at the house, or it could be a holiday or something like that. And then you just think, hold on, I'm more important than all of those things. I can always make more money and buy the windows, but I need to fix myself. So I would just advise anyone to take that leap of faith and just, you know, say hell yeah and do it.
And the program was originally 12 weeks. Like right now, we would be coming to the end of it. But what I wanted was what I do to kind of be like unlike anything out there and not be like aligned anywhere with like a diet. So I just said to you like a few weeks back, I was like, do you mind if we extend it 6 months? You know, like, but we do the first, you know, 10, 12 weeks as per, but then the rest of the duration, it's just kind of giving you that space to fully get that confidence and, you know, that conditioning that we've been on. But, you know, you still have my support and help and things like that. You know, anybody who's maybe listening, who's on the fence, like, how does this differ from everything else that you've done?
It's like there's it's personal for everyone. So, you know, you go to a slimming club and it's like, there's the program, there's your points, or there's your calories, or there it might be, but, you know, you're in the same box as everyone else. And whereas this is actually about you. This is not about you following a plan. It's about figuring out how you want to live and what fits with you and what fits with your life. And also the support that you get from yourself. There's support and accountability, but not in a sort of that you're the, you know, the leader of the class with the big stick sort of berating you because you haven't, you know, you said last week, Jane, you were going to lose 2 pounds and you've only lost £1. So, you know, all of that type of approach that you get with like the swimming clubs and stuff. So it's really supportive. It's really, you know, you asking questions that really sort of lead to things. And all the exercises we do, you know, you'd give us these exercises and I'd look at them and go, don't know how I'm going to like think about this. But
And that's brain exercises. It's brain exercises, not like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, no, not like
yeah.
I go and do 50 burpees.
Because I think a lot of people just don't realize, like, people think, oh, it's a food and exercise thing. And yeah, food and movement's part of it. But, you know, this has been very much about like an emotional conditioning. So the exercises Jane referred to, you know, we're making her think.
Yeah. So it was tasks to homework, let's say, to go away and do these things and think about, you know, what's important to you. Like, how do you see yourself? And I think one of the earliest conversations we had is where you talked about, you know, me currently being on what you described as Pain Island, and it's how do I feel there, and then actually over there, and I couldn't see it, it was right over the horizon, was this Pleasure Island. And you know, it's there. If you were on there, what does that look like? And being able to visualize that, to see how you would like to be. And actually what you've done is got me from there to there. I'm at the shores. I'm that happy person that I envisaged myself being on that island. So yeah, that's so different from any it's like not paid by numbers like any other diet I've done before. It's not restrictive. It's not, you know, I have had in these time I've had with you, I've had birthdays and Easter, which would have normally been an absolute disaster, and weekends away and days out with friends and everything, and had those and enjoyed those. And, you know, guilt-free, no restriction, no that, but you know, it's just amazing.
Yeah, and going out to eat, and you telling us that you're excited, but going out and not looking at the menu beforehand, and trying to pick the best option, or the lowest calorie option. Usually that's what that translates to. People like, or the healthiest option. And like, I think it's truly understanding what health is, which I think is like absolutely amazing. When it comes to the future, this is why I wanted it to be 6 months, because you cannot not have a life. I want clients to experience what they would usually experience, which would usually derail them. And then that's the perfect opportunity for us to, navigate that. And obviously moving forward, there's going to be Easter again. Happens every year. There's going to be Christmas. There's going to be holidays, birthdays, occasions, things like that. And people keep putting off change because like there's always something. So what does the next, I don't know, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years look like for Jane? Because this is what really, for me, this program is about. So you're not spending the next 30 years like on and off things. You just
Yeah, I think it's like, it looks like absolute freedom from, as far as I'm concerned, I don't need to go on another diet ever again. I know by doing what I'm doing, and eating the way I'm eating, and the things I've found through sort of movement and things like that will absolutely sustain me through all of that. And it's just, I'm really, really excited for the future, because I think there's like so much like I want to do, that I feel I can do now, that I can achieve, and my confidence to do new things and try new things, and not feel like weighed down by, oh, I'll do that when. No, I'll do that because life's for living. So all of that's gone, and I'm really excited for sort of the challenges that's coming, that I'll put myself through, or not be frightened to do anymore, really.
Yeah, and you've since working together had a promotion. You've
Yeah.
so someone who was struggling with binge and emotional eating, gone. Career, feeling a bit of in a slump, promoted. Like looking at you, you said even, sat there before, you were like, yeah, I can see like I've changed, and I
Yeah.
can see you've changed, not just through looking at you physically. And I'll always say to clients, kind of, I'm not really bothered about that stuff, because that stuff is just going to be a byproduct. In a year's time, 2 years' time, 5 years' time, you're going to still be living your best life, eating what you want. And, you potentially could be getting those kind of comments of like, I wish my metabolism was as fast as yours, and things like that, which I think a big thing that you noticed was just how much, we're going on a tangent again, by the way, how much like talk, how much like diet culture, like conversations, how much it was so ingrained and interwoven, which maybe was an opportunity for you to like spot that within yourself as well. Tell us a bit
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
that.
I remember like being a few weeks in, and it was coming up to Easter, and I was in Morrison's actually getting Easter eggs for kids, and there was this lady in there with her mum, and she was saying, the mum was saying, "Oh, do you want to get you a little egg for Easter?" And she was saying, "No, no, it's only 10 weeks to my holidays. I'm being good. Don't get us one." And that was the first time I really noticed that sort of, oh, but then since I've noticed it everywhere, and I just like, I really want to say to people, oh, it doesn't have to be like that. You know what I mean? It's not, but it just isn't. It obviously comes from being, I see it in members of my own family and stuff like that, this thing of I haven't been very good lately, I need to get back on it, and things like that. So yeah, it's everywhere, and it is quite scary for as I said, I've got a young daughter, and thinking about the messages she maybe gets external to the home. But I think as well, what's been a massive change for me and noticing is that there seems to be a lot of stuff around, you go on, I've mentioned TikTok before, and you go on there and there's all these like workout challenges and there's all the rest of it. And I used to be like that with exercise. It would be all or nothing. It would be like, right, I'm on it, I'm dieting, and I have to do 5 gym sessions this week, and I have to do this and I have to do that. And every time a big difference on now is that I used to start up here and quickly fall down, whereas I've started down here and slowly building my way up and loving it. I think I said to you last week, I'm now at the point where if I don't get out and walk or move my body in some way, I've like got itchy feet.
Yeah.
Like every day I feel like I want to do something. But the other thing that I've done is recognized the need to rest, the need to look after my body. It doesn't have to be a multiple mile walk or a gym session or whatever. Like if one day I wake up and I feel really tired and I'm meant to do, that was my plan. It's like, it's okay not to do that plan. Actually, what I'm going to do is a little walk around the block and a bit of yoga and stretch myself and treat my body that way. So I've just learned so much to like listen to my body and what it needs as well, which my body was just deafened out before because this is the way it had to be.
And self-compassion, that's what that screams to me, and often the serial dieter has none of this. It's very much do or die, it's all or nothing. Whereas now we've got consistency that will last you forever. And the ability to see the big picture. Talking about movement, tell us about like the challenge, like what happened the last time and what's happening now.
Yeah. So well, again, when I came to you, I'd kind of had 2 kind of major what I perceived as major failures from the point of view. And if I could, sorry, I will answer your question in a second, but if I just skip back a bit further for context. So again, with exercise, as I said, I've always been like all or nothing. But also had a really, like, what we've just been saying about having that no self-compassion. So a few years ago, I got myself a lot fitter and I did a Total Warrior. Massive achievement for me because I've never been a really like sporty person. And to do that, and rather than being so proud of myself for completing that, I actually looked at the photos and gave myself a really hard time for like how I looked in those photos. So there was always things like that. And exercise for me was always linked to, I was exercising for weight loss, not exercising because for the joy of exercising. So, to change that. So what happened last year was I had 2 things. First of all, I joined a new gym on a 6-week program, and it was really tough, and it probably was realistically going from nothing to tough for me. I needed to, but I'd kind of dropped. I had to end up dropping out of that because it was just too much for me, and I felt so bad about myself for that. But then I also had signed up last year to do the Mighty Hike for Macmillan. And due to a number of factors, which on reflection now probably were a level of undertraining, but also the fact that I went into it with a back problem and, just the wrong mindset completely. I did it and only got as far as meant to be 26 miles, like a walking marathon, hiking marathon, and I only got to 14 miles, and then they told me I had to withdraw on medical grounds because of heat stroke and back problem and all sorts of things. And I was devastated. I was so upset, and my mindset was like, well, I can't do it. I'm never doing that again. What's the point? And I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying it again. Well, I'm trying it again.
You're not
9
trying. You're
weeks.
not trying it, Jane.
No, I'm going to do it. So 9 weeks tomorrow, but everything's so different this time. My positivity, my mindset around it. I know what went wrong last time. I've learned from it, which I think is all we can do. Is nothing is going to be perfect, but we learn from it and we try again. And it's yeah, my training's much better. I'm off out tomorrow to do 12 miles, and like that is not daunting for me at all. Every time I was doing a big walk for training last time, I would be thinking, oh, what if I can't manage, or what if and now I'm just like, yeah, doing 12 miles. I'm like Tigger, just bouncing around about it. So yeah, I'm doing that, and I will finish it, and yeah, I'm really excited about it, and then really excited to say, like, right, what's next?
Brilliant. And I think within all of this, like the entire program, this has been, as you'd said, all about you and, you exploring you, essentially, like you exploring food, you exploring movement, and potentially everything you've tried before has been boundaries and points and programs and so on and so forth. And I've said, like, from day one, no, I'm here to create more freedom. I'm here to give you the tools to be able to manage this yourself, so you're not having to do anything like this again. If you do decide you want to do a fitness program for a specific outcome because you are genuinely trying to do performance, it's not with a weight loss target it's not just sheerly for burning calories. You might want to do the mighty hike again next year, but you might want to get a PB, so you're going to do that, but it's coming from a place of genuine, like, want rather than shoulds or have tos, as you said, which is absolutely amazing. And what I'll do, if you send me the link to your Just Giving page, or whatever it is, I'll put it in the show notes in the podcast. So if anyone even wants to throw a couple of pound Jane's way and just leave a nice comment, just say you heard her on the podcast, that would be hugely, and it is for a great cause as well, for cancer research, right?
For Macmillan.
Macmillan.
So yes, that would be amazing. Thank you. Yeah,
No problem.
everything.
I guess before we tie things up, I just want to kind of tell you how proud I am. It's an absolute pleasure working with clients like yourself, and I'm so lucky to have had a hand in something that's always been within you, and I always say with clients, it's build with Bickle. The tagline is build a better you. This is about you. This is about, like, kind of bringing to surface what has just been suppressed. So I just want to again reiterate how proud I am of you and how amazing you've done. And I'm so excited for the next few months just to continue to watch you blossom and, get to the point where like, hey, you know what, Ian? I don't need you. And that's great. And, and it's not a fantastic business model, apparently. But, I think personally, this is what the food, nutrition, diet space needs. And that's what I said. Like, the investment isn't about the 6 months. It's about the 6, 10, 20, 30 years. So, like, yeah, I guess last couple of questions are, are you happy? Are you happy you took the leap?
Oh, absolutely over the moon. I can't thank you enough for whatever it is you've done. That remains a mystery. But yeah, no, genuinely, I'm absolutely loving working with you. I would absolutely recommend it to anyone 100%. So yeah, just if you're thinking about it, just take the leap and do it, because it's so worth it.
Thank you very much. And what I'll do is I'll leave a couple of links within the show notes if anybody wants to kind of have that 30-minute call. At the beginning, it's all very conversational. I'll make sure that I'm the right fit for the client and they're the right fit for me. It's 6 months, so I've got to like you. I think to myself, you know, could we go out for a drink together? You know, are we, you know, because that of course is important. So, you know, free conversations, free chats, hit us up in my messages or anything like that. But yeah, all those links will be in the show notes, as well as Jane's Macmillan page. So once again, a huge thank you very much for making my job amazing, Jane. Thank you so much.
No problem at all. Thank you.
There we have it. What an amazing story. I just want to once again extend a huge thank you, an enormous amount of gratitude to Jane, and tell her how proud I am, and really how like kind of brave it is for anybody out there who is struggling with any form of, you know, hardship that they're going through, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, psychological. Asking for help, reaching out is such a challenging thing to do. But like so many people say, you know, I wish I'd done this earlier. For yous that are listening still, please share the podcast, subscribe, like, do all of that sort of stuff. In the show notes is the link to Jane's sponsored walk, and there's a few in there. If you want to book a half an hour free chat, let's do that. If you would like to do a diet scorecard just to see where you're at, and then off the back of filling that in, as a thank you, you'll get some freebies, and intuitive eating handbook guide. You'll also get some other free amazing things, and then the opportunity for another conversation there. So yeah, huge thank you again. Well done, Jane, and catch you next time.